No, my Heidi, my welcome everyone. I'm sorry you can't see me, but I did have done my hair and everything, but my camera's not working, so apologies for that. But Alison there you can see. So
Hello.
welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along to the first of a series of 3 webinars with FarmIQ and the New Zealand Landcare Trust. It's great to have you here. So the New Zealand Landcare Trust here, you can see there's a slide with both of us on there. And then we are an independent charitable trust who work to encourage sustainable land and water management. So I've worked for the trust for the past 13 years in the Waikato, and we have a small team around the country, of which 2 of my colleagues will be co-hosting the second and third webinars with FarmIQ. We were established in 1996, and our trustee organisations include Ecologic Foundation, Forest and Bird, Federated Farmers, Rural Women New Zealand, Fish and Game New Zealand, Federated Mountain Clubs of New Zealand, and Federation of Māori Authorities. So we've got a mix of production, recreation, Māori business, and environmental protection. The Trust believes having a farm environment plan is an important step for all farmers and would encourage farmers to undertake a farm environment plan and use it to move towards the good management practices that can be achieved on farm for a sustainable business and environment. And we're going to move now to Alison to tell us all about that. Thanks, Alison.
Kia ora, nā mai, haere mai. Welcome. Thank you for joining us in this digital lounge and choosing this webinar over Netflix or Hillary Berry. It's far more exciting than 7 Sharp, I can tell you. Now, the chances are that you're here because you're interested in learning more about farm environment plans and more about farm environment planning. And a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to keep this session to about 20 to 30 minutes long, just enough time for you to avoid all of 7 Sharp. That's good. And this is an interactive session, so please ask questions. We'll do our best to answer them. You can ask them in the Q&A box down there on the right of your screen, I believe. Fire them through and we'll either tackle them during the slides or at the end, depending on how gnarly and complex and complicated they are. Now we'll start with what is an FEP, but first we've got a quick poll coming up. It's anonymized, so we don't know who you are, but it's just a very quick poll. Elaine is working in the background and she is going to pop that up for you now, I believe. Elaine? I think it's coming.
We've had some technical issues. So
there it is. Issues?
Yeah, no, there it is. I think it's there. Yep, it's live.
Wicked. If you all wouldn't mind just doing that quick poll for us, that would be fantastic. How are we doing there, Elaine? All good? You tell me when you're done. All right. Shall we get started? Cool. Okay. So what is an FEP? There are many different interpretations of an FEP, but basically the key word in FEP or farm environment planning is plan. Planning how you'll manage your farm system in a way that reduces its impact on the environment, mainly its effect on water quality, and possibly you might have to do a farm environment plan within a regulatory framework. So that means including things in your environment plan, information and data in your environment plan that meets requirements of your local regional council. But basically a farm environment plan is all about recording data, analysing data and mapping out data, and it's a really important thing to do. For me, a farm environment plan is very much like a business plan, in that it sets out and it forecasts how your farm sits in its environment and what you plan to do with mitigating risks to water quality, to the environment throughout or over time and into the future. All right, next slide. This is going to go pretty quickly. Why should I do an FEP? Well, for me, FEPs are all about, sorry, I'm just checking my, whoop, I've got another technical issue here. Why should I do an FEP? Sorry, I had a moment there. FEPs are all about doing good business. And as I said earlier, if you can only fail to plan to fail and fail to plan. So if you've got a plan going forward about how your farm sits in its environment, what you're going to do, how you're going to mitigate and assess risk, even how you're going to manage auditors. If you're in a region like Canterbury, for instance, where your FEP is part of a resource consent application, you may be in a sensitive catchment in Northland, for instance, where you might need to provide a farm environment plan for funding. So your FEP could be required by law. It could be to explore funding opportunities. It could be that you simply want to work with the rest of your team, work with your family on farm to build more resilience into your farm system. So how do your soils cope in drought, for instance, and like Hawke's Bay are experiencing at the moment? How do your soils cope in the winter when you've got heavy stock on them and they are slopes and stuff like that? So how are you going to plan and mitigate risks of sediment and contaminant loss into waterways, but also how you can build how you planning to build a really resilient farm system, which includes your topography, your climate, and how your farm interacts with its environment and its local climate as well. So doing a plan, getting back to that original question, why should I do an FEP? Getting back to your plan, planning is just makes good sense. It puts everybody on the same page. It makes you feel a lot more in control and gives you a lot more ownership over what's happening, basically. And of course, we can't forget that doing a farm environment plan demonstrates good practice, good management practice across the board. So that's why we should do a farm environment plan. What sort of information should I put in a farm environment plan? Do we have any questions so far? I'm whizzing through these slides. I'm aware that I'm talking very quickly as well.
No questions.
No questions so far. Please fire questions through, people, as you think of them, and we will answer them within the slides as we tackle them or at the end. That's all good. So what sort of information should I put in my FEP? So all good FEPs are built on a really good farm map, a comprehensive farm map that identifies at the very least your farm boundaries, and getting better, putting your paddocks in. And then you would include things like land management units, cropping blocks, winter grazing paddocks, what we call critical source areas. So areas where that are particularly high risk areas that you need to focus on to be able to mitigate those risks. So areas like stock crossings and culverts, around troughs, effluent pads, standoff pads, areas around effluent ponds, that sort of thing. So yes, popping in what you do, what you apply to the land, in the form of fertilizers, chemical treatments, cropping techniques, minimum till, no till, that sort of stuff. What else would you include in your farm environment plan? A stock take of natural resources, for instance. So I'm reading off the slide here, but do you have lots of waterways? Are they intermittent or are they permanent? Are they fenced? Do you have ponds? Do you have dams and so forth? So a really good stock take of in your farm map and in your FEP about what kind of features and landscape features and natural resources that you've got. You might also include your nutrient budget numbers, so what your NNP loss numbers are for your farm. In particular regions, nutrient budgets are becoming a requirement in farm environment plans. So, and it's likely that a nutrient budget will be required in a farm environment plan nationwide pretty soon, depending on what comes out of the NPS and kind of, that's all policy sort of stuff, which we can talk about later in questions if you like. But nutrient budget numbers. So in a FarmIQ farm environment plan, there's a page where you can put all your nutrient budget information from, whether it's from overseer or from your consultant or whatnot. Other things that need to go into an FEP. So what we at FarmIQ like to call objectives and tasks. So the goals and aspirations that you have for the farm. Also mitigation practices around, okay, I know I've got a stock crossing there. It's literally just a flat bridge. What am I going to be able to, what do I have to do to mitigate the risks of sediment and manure going into the waterway as the cattle or the stock cross over? So objectives might be, I'm going to put a lip on it, or I'm going to put a drain down the sides, or I'm going to plant it on either side if you've got soil-based culverts. And then goals as far as logging them against, when do you feel like you're going to achieve, or when do you plan to achieve those goals? So an example might be, I know I've got to plant some poplar poles on some particularly erosion-prone country. I'm going to set a task up in my calendar, or I'm going to plan when I'm going to plant those poplar poles, and you can work your way backwards quite easily by saying, and I'm going to plant those poplar poles in July, therefore I need to phone the council in March, or the nursery in March, wherever I get my poplar poles from, arrange to go and pick them up, take them home and soak them, and then plant them in July. So there are objectives and tasks that you can set, and then obviously your timeline as well. So over what particular period of time and when do you plan on achieving those tasks? So those are some of the sort of information that you should be including in your FEP. Also, along with things like basic farm system information. How many stock units do you run? When do you run them? What does your winter stocking rate look like compared to your summer and your spring stocking rate? What classes of stock do you run? So bulls obviously need to be treated differently than heifers and younger, lighter stock. So putting lots of information in around how you farm and your farm system is always a really good thing as well. Simon P has asked a question: how does a SLUI relate to an FEP? I assume that you're in Horizon, Simon P. And a SLUI is very, very simple, very similar to an FEP. An FEP is more, I would say, rudimentary, and a SLUI, Sustainable Land Use Initiative, I think, is it? Is Horizon's version of an FEP, which includes a hell of a lot more information that is required by Horizon's One Plan for you guys to be able to have to do your FEP. So in effect, a SLUI is exactly the same as an FEP. It's just what Horizons call them, and then there's a lot more information in there as well. But the basic generic information that's in an FEP will also be in a SLUI. I hope that answered your question there. Next slide. All right. Any other questions, anyone? All good so far? Cool. Keep them coming because they're good. I love questions. All right. How do I get started? The most common question around FEPs is, how do I get started? What do I do? Who do I talk to? Who can help me? Where do I find the information that suits me and my farm? Every farm is different. Every farm is unique, and that's one thing that we've been working with councils on, and especially through policy, is recognizing that FEPing is not a one-size-fits-all process. So everybody's different. So how do you get started? Ask questions. Get in touch with your regional council. Ask questions of their land management officers or their sustainable farming advisors. All councils have different terms for their rural team, their rural support team, but get in touch with some of those and find out what If any, there might be some requirements locally. Download our step-by-step guide and the other resources that are available under the handouts tab on this page, which I think is also to the right of your screen as well. We've put together a really cool, very handy step-by-step guide, which gives you, it really does get you started. It's 7 easy steps to farm environment planning, and it will kind of walk you through how to get all that sort of stuff done. You can phone, you can talk to your consultant, you can talk to your TFO even at Farmlands or FarmSource. They might have more information on farm and field days that Beef and Lamb run, and also Dairy and Z also have focus groups on sustainable land management and farm environment planning and stuff like that. And they have a lot more, a lot of really cool resources and information around, or their extension officers and their catchment officers also have lots of really good information that will support how you put your FEP together, which is all really good. So I've got another question here. Sarah, do you need one for a lifestyle block, or is it just for bigger farms? It depends where you are, Sarah. If you can tell me where you are, I might be able to answer that question. Otherwise, it really does depend on where you are, how big your lifestyle block is, and whether you're in a very sensitive catchment or not. So you're in Rotorua. Okay, so here's an even gnarlier question. Are you Bay of Plenty Rotorua, or are you Waikato Rotorua? Because there's quite a lot of Rotorua around the lakes that is on the Waikato. You're a 19 hectare, yes, a sensitive catchment. Yes, 19 hectares, you're over the 6.1 hectare category. So likelihood is, yes, you will need to do a farm environment plan. The intensity of your farm environment plan will be scaled back a little bit more. So you won't have to put as much kind of gnarly information in there, such as a nutrient budget. I wouldn't have thought, but not too sure. You'll need to check with Bay of Plenty Regional Council. The catchment officers or LMOs down there are really, really helpful. And yeah, so if you give Bay of Plenty Regional Council a call and find out who your local LMO is, and they will be able to help you and give you some more advice around whether you need to do an FEP or not. Cool. Alistair, the proposed National Policy Statement for Freshwater is proposing for all farms greater than 5 hectares to have a farm environment plan prior to 2023. Yes, Alistair, they're proposing it. Whether it will actually happen or not, we're not too sure. Yes, over 5 hectares, and that will be a nationwide thing. It's to do a farm environment plan, yes, in the lead up to 2023. So 2023 would be a deadline for many farms. Yeah, I think what will probably end up happening is that smaller, less intensive farms will get pushed out to 2025, and dairy farms and more intensive dry stock farms will be 2023. Yeah. Whether 2023 is realistic is a whole other, yes, it is. I agree. Katie.
Is there a definition for farm?
Is there a definition for farm? That's a really tough question.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Because it depends on what region you're in, and it depends on what you do on that land. So, and also whether your farm or your property is actually a business. If you are farming to make money, to provide a livelihood and an income, then technically, even if you're on an acre, and you're a horticulture, a market gardener on an acre, and you're using fertilizers, then technically, if you're deriving some income from that property, then it could be defined as a farm. Yeah, that's a good dinner time discussion question, isn't it? Other ways to get started. Don't forget to register for the 2 other webinars in this series. The second one, which is in 2 weeks from now, exactly 2 weeks from now, is on mapping. effective mapping. So we'll be taking you through, myself and Alistair Cole from New Zealand Landcare Trust will be taking you through how to do an effective map for your farm environment plan, what needs to go in there, how you should do it, how you should label it, that sort of stuff. All good stuff there. And then the final webinar in the series of 3 will be really effective farm environment planning. What do I need to do? What should I include? And how to set some really good objectives and tasks that will be appealing to auditors, if such a thing is relevant to you. Another question, Catty. If I have a 6-hectare lifestyle block, is this a farm? Again, Catty, you're in Rotorua. I don't know what their rules are exactly around size, but yes, it could be. As I said, if you are deriving an income from your lifestyle block, then yes, you could be considered a farm. You'll need to talk to Bay of Plenty Regional Council, though. Their rules might be slightly different. Yeah. It's a tough one. And third on that how do I get started list, contact us. You're more than welcome to email me. I think my email address is around somewhere. Or you can get hold of me through FarmIQ. I'm FarmIQ's environment lead, so I'm available to help you with things. And if I can answer any questions about doing a farm environment plan in FarmIQ, then please hit me up. I'm more than happy to give you a demo and talk you through things. It's easy, very, very easy. All right.
Your email's been put there, Alison, so everyone can see that.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Please do email me with questions after this as well if you feel like you need them. I've just talked about that. What's next? So what's next is, so these slides will come out to you, I believe, Elaine. And that is more details on the FEP mapping webinar. 2 weeks today, June the 9th at 7 o'clock. And yeah, on the next slide as well is more details again on how to tap that one as well, because I'm looking at it on the big screen. Come on. Oops. Tuesday the 23rd of June. So make sure you book in for those, because if you're clever and you've got the time, we could actually take you through almost how to do your FEP in these 3 webinars, which is brilliant. And if you get yourself sorted with a FarmIQ account, then we could probably have your FEP done by the end of the next one or the end of the final one. So that's pretty cool. Any more questions? Anyone?
Yes, there's one there about health and safety. How can I build on my map already in FarmIQ for health and safety?
How can I build on my map already for, sorry, I can't see that question here.
It's in chat public. Can I build on my map already in FarmIQ for health and safety? That's a great question.
It is. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to scroll down. And can I build on my map already in FarmIQ for? Yes, you can. Yeah. So Bronwyn, if you have a FarmIQ, depending on what pack you're in, if you're in Everyday Performance or Enterprise, you will have FarmIQ FEP. So if you go into, all you need to do is click on Land, Environment Plan, and then there is your FEP. Away you go. And you can, yes, you can exactly build on that on the map, on the interactive map in FarmIQ. You can build your FEP on top in layers in your FarmIQ account. That's really easy. Doing farm environment planning in FarmIQ is fantastically easy, and it's simple. And because it's digital, you can dive in and out whenever you want to. If you make a mistake, you can go through and change it. You don't have to kind of start again on a piece of paper. And of course, it's always sitting there live and ready for you to go in and out whenever you want to and add information whenever you want to. Or you can invite your auditors in to, or your auditors or your consultants to add information in via third-party access. So it's all very easy stuff. You're welcome, Bronwyn. Flick me an email if you'd like me to talk you through doing your FEP and FarmIQ. More than happy to help. Cool. Any more questions, anyone? What about you, Nardene? Do you want to add anything?
We're into question time. Great. We've been doing that pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm okay. I think if there is anyone that does have any questions for myself through the Landcare Trust, then yeah, you're welcome to fire those through. Otherwise, where can I find the fact sheet or template for an FEP? Is it on our website? So in the handouts, there's and also on, I guess it depends on where you are, because different regions have fact sheets. For example, the Regional Council in Waikato has just put out some fact sheets around FEPs, which are available on their website, especially if you're in that plan change. Oh, you found it. She's got it. Great.
Well done. That's great.
Yes, but also plan change one in the Healthy Rivers and the Waikato Regional Council, there are different, depending on your farm operation, there's different provisions, requirements. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. So they've got fact sheets on their website as well.
Would anybody like it if I gave you a quick view of what an FEP looks like in FarmIQ?
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
If you, yep. Yes.
Yes. Oh, great. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. It's going here. Can you see my screen? Everyone, Nardene, can you see my screen? Because I can only see a video of myself.
Yes, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Cool. Okay, so if you can see my screen, you will see a map of my FEP demo farm. And here, what we've done here is we color code what we're doing. So, and then there's a legend down here for what's what. And this is all mapped really, really easily in an interactive mapping system in FarmIQ. So, for instance, if I clicked here, clicked on that paddock here, go with. This here would be a stock culvert. I can note all my features here. If I wanted to add a feature, for instance, I've identified that I've got some really erosion-prone country. I can just literally go into Draw and Edit, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go, oh, that's a bit steep there. That's very erosion-prone. I'm going to, what am I going to do? Hey, hang on a minute. How can I move that out of the way? Oh, I've got a screen sharing tab right in front of all my keys. There it is, right. So I'm going to look at some features. I'm going to add a feature group here, okay, or I'm going to add to a feature group. So what have I got? I know I've got some pretty erosion-prone country already. Yeah, some pens, planned stock exclusion. These are all ones that I've done already. I'll tell you what, can't hear anyone. I'm going to add a landscape feature. Oh, look. And here are some that I've done earlier. I'm going to add a new feature, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to map that in there. Just like that, for instance. Very accurate, as you can see, not really. I'm going to give it a name on my keyboard. I'm going to say erosion prone country. I'm going to save it. And there we have, I think I've blocked that out before. There we have a new feature in my map. If I close that, my internet is very slow today. There we go. There's my new erosion prone country. And then if we go up to the FEP part, I'm literally going to go, Bronwyn, this is where you would go. You'd click on land, environment plan. And it starts you through, it steps you through these really cool steps, basically. So if I take you, I'm just going to take you straight to risk assessment. Thank you, Sarah. Can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me? You can. Nardene, can you hear me? I'm just checking.
Yeah, it is cutting out, just as the others are hearing as well. I think it's everybody's come off the TV and they're into the internet now.
Yeah. 7 Sharp's finished.
all the broadband's being used up.
Yeah. So if you can still see my screen here, and hopefully you can still hear me, just
try
do fire questions through.
Yeah.
Try turning off my camera. That's a good idea. I'll do that. Off.
I reckon try tuning off your camera and just seeing if that makes a difference, because we can still hear you.
Oh, Nate. Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. All right. So let's keep going quickly. So this is the risk assessment in FarmIQ, and here we've got a panel with where you of the categories of risk assessment. Just you can hear my kids in the background. That's probably what's making them cut out, because they've got pre-bedtime zoomies. So we've got phosphorus risk, erosion risk, all the way down to chemical management. And it'll just take you through a series of questions, and then it'll give you a risk assessment at the end. And so if I went save and next, this farm has a medium risk of phosphorus loss. So that's the risk assessment, and it also takes you through biodiversity, mapping your features, mapping your land management units, overseer numbers. I can very quickly click in there. I've set my overseer numbers up per LMU, per land management unit, so I can put whatever my numbers are in here. That's really easy. And then objectives very quickly at the end. We give you lots of suggestions for objectives of what you might do to mitigate risk, or what your goals might be to help your farm sit in its environment nicely. Lots and lots of there's one that we did with Nardene a while ago, involve Landcare Trust with plans, call Nardene, and you can set a task, you can set a date for that to happen. Is it environmental compliant? You can attach all sorts of things. So it's it looks reasonably complex, the FarmIQ FEP, but it's not. It's actually really easy, and it makes farm environment planning actually quite good fun, really. All right. Question. Any questions? Any more questions?
No.
No. Cool. Any questions on anything else? Because if not, I think we might.
Should we do that poll?
Poll, yes. We've got a poll. We've got 2 very short polls coming your way. Here we go. Oh, they went very quickly. I wonder if you do one and then it goes away and then you do the other.
Oh, right. So Sarah said she missed the intro and is asking if FarmIQ is separate from the New Zealand Landcare Trust. And yes, it is, Sarah. We're just partnering together to present information about farm environment plans, because obviously FarmIQ is a great way of doing a farm environment plan, and the New Zealand Landcare Trust works with community groups, catchment groups, landcare groups to encourage sustainable land and water management. And so I guess for us, it's about encouraging people to take on these actions so that the good management practices can start to be followed, and if there's people working together in a catchment, I think that can have a lot of weight if people are all working together in that catchment area. It could be a small sub-catchment or a bigger catchment. So yeah. So Katie's asked, which other organisations are there that offer similar services as FarmIQ in New Zealand? And that's a good question. I know Fonterra does farm environment plans with all of their suppliers. Beef and Lamb and Dairy NZ also help do farm environment planning. And
I think they provide workshops. So Dairy NZ and Beef and Lamb provide farm kind of workshops where you can. They won't do your FEP for you, but they will, a lot like this webinar, really, they'll help you put your FEP together and give you an understanding of what needs to go into it. Regional councils, no, not really. I think regional councils partner with the likes of Beef and Lamb, Dairy and Z, and Landcare, don't they?
Yes, and there's fertiliser companies do offer them too, don't they? Things like Balance and
that's a paid service.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And do they have apps as well? No. Katie, I'd like to say that there are other digital FEPs or other ways to do a digital FEP out there, but there aren't. FarmIQ is the only one in the market at the moment. But I'm sure as FEPs become a regulated space, then you might see lots more offerings available to you. Yeah,
because there are farm consultant types that do them too.
Yes,
I think that you would need to find someone. So a regional council would likely have a list of registered people. Oh, you're going to get a call on Thursday, Alison.
Yeah, do call me. Do call me on Thursday. That's great. It's a pleasure to ask questions, and we're here. FarmIQ is here basically to make your life a lot easier when it comes to farm environment planning. I love answering questions, because for me, having successful farmers doing great farm environment plans is what I'm all about anyway. That's my purpose in life. Great farm environment plans. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. What a great purpose, Alison. Cool.
Any other questions, anyone, before we say goodnight, and then hopefully we'll see you next week?
Yeah, 2 weeks. I think it would be a good time to call an end now. And thank everyone for coming and missing the 7 o'clock shows on TV for us. It was really great to have you.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for coming, everyone. See you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.